in the morning? Do you like?
I
Yeah.
I I typically get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock every morning.
Ooh, it's gonna
And
hurt.
if I go to bed at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, then I usually sleep until about 7, 6:30.
Noise.
Yeah.
Right.
Y-
Yeah. I wish I could stay in bed. I can't.
I feel you sometimes. I mean, I personally, I constantly am working, especially when I come home and I finish my shift, and then I'm like, oh shit, it's 12 o'clock. I think I should go to bed. Nah,
Mm.
I'm going to talk with a friend for 3 hours, and it's 2:45 in the morning. I got to work tomorrow at 7, but it's okay. So, first off, it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. It's always great to have a duo because, hey, double fun, double
Yes.
spontaneous, and
Yeah,
who the hell knows where this is going?
twice
So,
as many stories.
exactly. Why don't we kick things off? Why don't you introduce yourself? Kind of who you guys are, with the work you're doing, and where you are right now. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm Kandace,
And I'm Gregory.
and we met in Sunday school at the age of 7 and 8. And then we had puppy love at the age of 12. We started dating at the age of 18. We got married at the age of 21. So, childhood sweethearts.
So 45 years later, we're sitting here in front of our computer screen talking to you. We've
Not very. Let me ask you something though, because like my parents, and I've seen this like even from the community I grew up in, you're seeing now less and less people that are married for long periods of time. You know, and I'll be honest, like my parents were married for about 40 years until my dad passed away, but their marriage was awful, riddled with problems, constant conflict. Not the only one. Like I know many couples that are going into their 30, 40-year mark, they're just miserable. They
Mhm.
love each other, but they have so many issues with one another. They can't like get on the same axis with one another.
Mhm.
How do you
Yeah.
feel like for your own guys? I mean, being that it's been so long, like with your relationship.
Well, I think right from the get go, we had similar backgrounds in how we grew up. Being both coming from Christian families, so I guess that was a bond in itself.
Okay.
So your beliefs
Yeah.
were the same, so that kind of helped. And then as
Well, we
we
both had good, I had an amazing home to grow up in, fantastic parents, great role models. And so I wasn't the witness of all of that trauma and conflict and a way of teaching me that that's the way to have a relationship. I was shown a much more loving, caring, respectful type of a relationship. So that was pretty easy for me to carry that forward. We've seen some people coming up in really tumultuous lives, and it's, that's what they've been taught, that's what they've learned, and that's what they, that's what they mimic because that's what they think that the relationship should be. And we've never gone that route. We've always been much more supportive of each other, and it's just, I don't know, it's just been easy.
yes, because first off, we married each other because we're best friends. We tell each other everything. That's a big plus as well. And whenever we decided to do something on our own, the other one was very supportive, whatever kind of hobby it was or job it was. And
Mhm.
we respected each other's decisions and admired each other. And our communication was basically top notch. We made a point of always talking to each other. It got better as we grew older and as we got into the lifestyle and opened up our marriage. Now we were even talking more.
Yeah. And we've always respected each other's decisions, and we're all individuals, and we all have different ways of approaching things. And if you kind of understand it from that standpoint, that you don't want to project what your beliefs should be on that person or what they should be doing. This is they're an autonomous being, and they can be whatever. We're just fortunate that we like being around that person with each other.
I think it's really, I think it's really beautiful because you said that you view it as best friends.
Yes.
We're, it's not just, I'm going to be real with you for a second. To me personally, marriage is just a word.
Mhm.
It's a thing you do when you go to a courthouse in, your town hall and you sign civil papers. That's what marriage is, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
But there's a difference of where you tell somebody, I want you to be my partner. I want you to be my friend because I want to spend time with you. I want you to be a part of my life's journey as much as I want you to be a part of my life's journey as well. Do you find in yourself with the both of you that's kind of the direction you guys went towards in regards to your family and how you built yourself and your business?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, I've never, neither of us have been the person that I have to have my time out with the guys, or Candace has to have her time with the girls, or sort of separate interests. Our interests have always, mostly overlapped. And if there are anything individual, then you support that person in whatever that endeavor is that they're doing. But it makes conversations a lot easier when you're talking about the same things, when you're sharing the same stories, where you're sharing the same interests. We always attend the events together. We don't date separately. We tried that, and it just
it didn't work. Because all I wanted to do is come home and tell them all about it. I kind of went, oh my God, I was right there. I was doing this and that, and I was on top, and I was grinding, and I was doing whatever. I wish you were there watching. And then finally we just came, well, you know what? We'll always make sure that we're in the same room, that we're participating together, because that's what we want to do. That's what we like to do, like to share everything.
Yeah, so that's what's worked for us.
That's good. And I think it's a really beautiful and powerful message, and a really great attitude towards life, because the thing is, we get only one shot in life, right? What are you going to do? You're going to spend your whole life being miserable because I have to do it. No, nobody's telling you to do it. You're doing it because you want to do it. And taking into the mind the same thing as an entrepreneur, when you're making your own business, you're doing it because you want to make a business. If you're doing it for money, okay, that's a different story. Everybody wants to do things for money. But what's the real motive behind your creation and your success?
Pleasure.
Oh, wow.
We call ourselves PSAs, pleasure seeking adults. And life always gives you choices. Every single day you're confronted with choices. And if you make the wrong choices, it goes down that road. If you make good choices, it goes down a better road. But at every junction, there's Y's in the road. Every decision that you make, you can choose to either go down, this path or the other path. We've always chosen to go down the path that looks like it's going to give us the most pleasure and the most joy in our lives. And yeah, that just breeds happiness at that point. And even if things are going bad or shitty or whatever the situation happens to be, there's always some avenue of it to look that there's something a bit more positive, or a way to change that direction, to move it away from that negative or whatever it happens to be that's going on. And when you both do that together and you're supporting each other in that endeavor, it can be quite pleasurable.
Yeah. Just noticing the two of you, like talking with you for like the past almost 10 minutes, going back and forth. You can definitely see there's teamwork and structure here, where if he stumbles, you kind of come in. You stumble, he kind of comes in as well. I bring this up. This is not rare. The type of relationship, the type of work that you guys are doing is not rare. The thing is, most people are not doing this. Most people don't realize you can have a life like this. You can make whatever type of family you want, because you're an individual. You're going to find another individual, and you both as individuals will decide what's the best course of action. How did you guys do that for your business together?
We've had many businesses together.
Because like you said, we just keep trying to find more excitement, more joy in life. And sometimes we tend to do a lot of startup companies, and then we'll take it so far, and then we kind of go, okay, we got another idea.
Yeah, I go that. We've always joked that we have the variety gene, and the variety gene to us is we like, as much as we like change, as much as we like variety. We've lived in our same home here for 25 years, so there's some stability that we like to have. But I guess because we have that foundation, that's and the core foundation of a relationship is solid, that it allows us to now go out and experiment with things. And we've never not allowed ourselves to do whatever it was that we wanted to do because of any perceived repercussions or any concerns that we might have about how the outcome might be. It's we don't do things willy-nilly. We contemplate things, but we allow ourselves to try things, and if we don't like it,
We just don't do it again. Same with if it's a person too. You kind of go, oh, I didn't like that situation. We go, oh, okay, we just won't do it again. Yeah. But you know what? That was kind of exciting. And now we can mark it down and it's off our bucket list and we kind of make the best of it.
Yeah. Right. And if it gets really fucked up, we've always got a story. Like we've always got something that we can like tell us stories of, you know, we were traveling and this happened and like this happened. And then, you know, but it's a story, you know, because it's something to share later and reflect back on and, you know, and maybe look at some of our choices and laugh about them. But, you know, don't take anything too super seriously, you know, because once it's done, it's done. Like we can't go back and fix something that happened 5 minutes ago. We can't fix something that happened 10 years ago. We can accept it. We can look at it. We can say, okay, well, what did we learn about that? You know, maybe we won't do that again. Or when we do it, let's use more lube or whatever. You know, it's, you know, we'll figure out something.
Well, it depends. Sometimes you need lube that's cherry flavored. And sometimes you want to get a little frisky honey. You want to get root beer float.
Yeah. But if you make the wrong decisions, you've always got tomorrow or just, you know, a washcloth away, you can change it.
I mean, depending if you can walk after that experience. But it's, I was talking with Carissa. She's the host of American Groove. We were talking about this a few days ago, and the weird thing that I find always is you like to view everyone. You kind of put yourself in this mindset of where everything's permanent, even though it's not. Everything's temporary. Fact of life of that is the fact that you're going to die one of these days. Proves the point that nothing is permanent. So that being the case, you know, she was telling me that if it's not permanent and it's temporary, why fixate and worry about it being so horrible now? Understand that that's the situation right now, but it's not going to be like that forever. It's going to change, but you got to believe in that, because if you don't, you're just going to keep yourself in the same rut over and over again. It's so sad because we're right now out of the pandemic. You know, we're about 3 years out of the pandemic. And me personally, talking with people, seeing what's going on social media and the internet, it's really sad. I don't see things like this.
Yeah. I mean, the pandemic, that was one of the best things that ever happened in our lives together. It did such a good thing for us. We just
stopped playing because you kind of go, okay, you know, we can't go to these big parties anymore. We can't invite all our you know, play friends over. Okay, what are we going to do? And we kind of went, okay, we're going to concentrate on each other. And what can we do to bring our sex life into a different state, into a new state, possibly. Right. You know, something that we could do just together. And
I don't even know if it was a conscious decision. I think it was just something that we had the time and we had the interest.
And then we kind of went, I wonder what all this Tantra stuff is all about.
Yeah. It actually, I'm going to back up a little bit because this whole thing started, like what precipitated our book and all of the work that we're doing now was DMT. That's what really, you know, swung the hammer at the ego.
Does that to you?
Yeah. After that, it was ayahuasca, a number of journeys on ayahuasca, lots of mushrooms, lots of other things. And through our integration process and trying to, you know, look at ourselves and our egos and what are we doing? And there was a time that we sat there going, you know, well, why are we still doing this? Why do we still consider ourselves, you know, as swingers or, you know, in the lifestyle? Is it, what are we trying to satisfy? Are we trying to satisfy our ego, or are we trying to satisfy boredom with each other? Like, what is it? You know, we have to really sit down and look at it. And, you know, we had a lot of heartfelt talks, and I don't know if we really came up with any definitive answer for it, but either way, we ended up, you know, just staying in bed for an hour and a half every morning and just exploring each other energetically. And a lot of times there wasn't even penetration, you know, like it was just, or if there was no sort of climax. It was until it became energetic. And then it became a whole new story for us.
A kind of like a almost euphoric experience.
Oh, totally.
Mind orgasms.
Mindgasms. And
I did that with peyote. Peyote will fuck you up. Oof. Because it heightens, for me at least, I had where it heightened my sound and feel.
Mm-hmm.
So you see texture. I don't know how to explain it. It's where objects and textures become one. Spheres, very shiny objects. Sounds like I was just hearing David Bowie for 3.5 hours. It was insane. But it opens you up to the realization of just be in the fucking moment. Oh my God, would you stop planning shit?
Yeah.
Yes.
Life doesn't work that way, okay? If you plan every single moment, I promise you, you're just going to end up in more trouble than you asked for.
And disappointed. You know, when we go to parties, overplanning. When we go to parties or events, we go in with no or very low expectations.
And we're all about the artist. That is the whole purpose of this podcast, period. And you have a really valuable tool. You can share this with artists, people that are creative, someone that can enjoy this podcast and really enjoy the experience of Lost in the Groove. So with that, let's jump back to today's episode, shall we?
We say we're going to go with the flow.
Just go.
Even when someone comes over, it's not like, okay, tonight I'm going to bring out all my vibrators and I'm going to dress up and do whatever. It's like,
sorry,
no, I don't really know. I don't know what the other person wants. And I kind of go, okay. So you kind of look at your new play partner and you go, so what are your desires, fears, and boundaries? And a lot of times people kind of go, I don't know.
Yeah, well, you should think about it.
Yes.
And then be present. You know, you were saying about earlier with the peyote and stuff. And really that's what, you know, the mushrooms have really done for us. And, you know, cannabis is it helps to stop the voices in my head and allows me to be much more present, much more mindful. And once you start to lose yourself in that, it just goes deeper and deeper and more enjoyable.
And more enjoyable because it runs through your whole body energetically because you're so focused and so in tune.
The two hardest things for me, because I smoke cannabis daily, is the paranoia can get very intense and the depression. Oh my God. Because the thing that most people don't tell you about cannabis is, and I've known this and I've spoken to people who have done it for long periods, especially like now and how it's grown, your effect will differ dramatically depending on how it's grown, who grew it, what type of terpenes, what type of flower, is it a clone, how it was, and you're like, who cares? But believe it or not, for plants like these, every single one of these details matters.
Yeah.
And this is like a scare tactic. This is stuff that people can use of like, oh, this is why you shouldn't do this. See, this is the danger. Like, this is the problem. This is why we should stay away from it. This is why it should be scheduled 1. It's because of those reasons. I don't think that way, though.
No, I mean, so much of it's dosage, you know, for a lot of people. I grow all of our weed and so I've got a couple of tenants and I talk to them every morning. I talk to them, discuss them.
Do you read them stories?
Sometimes. You know, it was I think wasn't my last harvest, the harvest before I started laughing. It was time that I had to harvest. And I'm not a day smoker. I'm a night smoker, or you know, anything after 4:20 is kind of fair game. But I'm like 7-Eleven,
24/7, honey.
Yeah, well, that'll be next week. We're going to our local regional Burning Man event. So we'll be for nice. So we leave on Tuesday for that.
Good.
Yeah, we've had a theme camp for the last 5, 6 years, 7 years. We've had a theme camp, so that's all part of it.
Nice.
But yeah, so I was going to harvest it this one morning, and I thought, well, just, you know, I had my bong sitting there. I thought, well, I'll just take a quick hit. I'll go downstairs and I'll go into my little room and I'll harvest my little babies. And I found myself like tearing up, and I was getting all emotional that I was cutting these things down, and I was just like to use the big pruners to cut the stem off, and it was like it's quite funny, but we had quite a conversation.
If it makes you feel any better, it doesn't hurt the plant.
Oh, I know, but
I've asked many times.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we've had the conversations. Yeah, enjoy me.
I got really turned on to alternative healing several years ago, and I'm not I still go to a doctor. I still, take medicine daily. But the thing I love about it is that it's from tribes and cultures, traditions spanning tens of thousands of years. Yes, they did not understand modern medicine. I understand it, but the really cool thing is how this planet, the ultimate quantum computer of quantum computers, designed these plans and developed these type of chemicals that affect our brain in different ways. And it's interesting because I asked myself this question: why did the universe create this world with these plans for us to experience? Why is it when a human takes this, we have these crazy experiences?
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Oh yeah. No, just there's all sorts of realms out there, and it just allows us to, and everything is frequency. We totally believe in frequencies. I mean, you can see that at its simplest form is if you walk into a room, you walk into a party, and there's one person there that you're just attracted to them. You don't know why you're attracted to them. Or there's a clacker. There's that person that's in the room that just
annoys you,
and you don't even need to speak to them. You just look over there, and you don't know why.
I know who you're talking about. I have 4 of those in my office.
And it's just, if you could visualize what their frequency was, if you could put them onto a sine wave and you could see where it was, you could see the differences in how people are. And of course, they're going to interfere, or they're going to overlap, or they're going to clash a little bit. So,
right.
And you don't necessarily want to, in most cases, what we would consider lower ourselves, especially because we don't drink alcohol, and we entertain a lot. And it's interesting, the people that do drink alcohol, especially the ones that, even slightly overconsume, how different they are within, the 20 people that are in the room. Like they're just different. They stand out. The conversations are different. The way people react is different. And it's just through vibration. It's purely how it all works, I think.
My relationship with alcohol is a little my father is Moroccan, so I'm African and also American from my mom's side. And alcohol is a very big part of culture. So it's, even now, I don't drink alcohol on a daily basis. I can't afford it. But it's just, I don't yearn for it. I don't know how to explain this. I don't crave alcohol to the point of like, I need red wine now. I could fill up a glass of red wine and look at it for 2 hours and won't drink it. It doesn't matter. If I want it, I want it. If I don't want it, I don't want it. So I have a very hard time understanding being an alcoholic, because I was an alcoholic. I was an alcoholic when I was a teenager. It was really bad.
Well,
and I did ayahuasca.
And the Mother Gaia taught you some lessons?
Didn't get that far.
Yeah.
It was only 18 hours, but yeah. But I learned the idea of separation and addiction. See, the weird thing is now because I have addiction still to other things, but the way that I look at it is, you're clinging to this because you don't want to let go. That's what's in my head. Every single time I think about it, it's like, you're clinging on it because you don't want to let go. That is what's holding you back. That's the only thing. You have to choose. The direction you choose as a person, as a human being, is to realize you have to lift yourself up out of that hole before the person is able to reach their hand to you to take you out.
And again, it boils all the way down to, what we spoke about earlier. It's just, choices in our lives,
right.
All choices. And if those are the choices that we make, those are the rewards that we reap. So whether they be good or bad.
And realize that it doesn't matter what other people think.
Yeah.
And we do what we want to do. And I think that was the big thing writing the book, was being vulnerable and letting ourselves be revealed in this book, to the point where we kind of go, okay, we're going to lose some friends, and we may lose some family members too over this, but it doesn't matter. doesn't matter. If we know in our hearts that we did the right thing, then it doesn't matter what other people think.
Just pulling up your page because I want to see what the book is. Oh, it is so hard to have a stoner brain because you don't remember shit. Shit. Okay, you're like, wait, what was it called? What was that?
Our way to enlightenment.
F***CK. Actually, if you're online, go to evolutionarysex.org.
Let me see. I'm gonna go there right now.
Evolutionarysex.org.
Short for orgasm.
Oh yeah. Oh, fucking our way to enlightenment. Okay, that is a great first. It's a great title.
Thank you.
Great title.
And just coming up with that and thinking, is that going to be too harsh? And having, gurus say to us, no, that's exactly what you want to do. You want to hit them on the head.
That's what you want to do.
You want to just say what it is.
I had once a guest that asked me before they came on. They said, do I have to be careful with language? There's certain things to avoid. And I said to them, listen, if you avoid anything or any type of language, I have the option to end the recording. So I'm just giving you a heads up right now. And they were like, okay, we got the message. But that's the thing, though. If you want to be able to have a conversation with a person, you want to talk, you have to be able to talk about the things that are uncomfortable. Okay. We don't like talking about human trafficking. We don't like talking about girls getting raped by their dads or family members or by their pastor or for boys for that matter. We don't like talking about women in the sex industry where strippers sometimes are belittled to the point of hookers that they have pimps that are controlling groups of them when they're just exotic dancers. What the fuck? There's so many different things we can avoid. But guess what? We have lives to live. And if we want to be able to be successful and we want to be able to communicate as adults and as humans, you got to talk about the shit that is uncomfortable sometimes because it's needed. It is.
Yeah, and there's going to be something inside the message, for everybody. There's a lot of people that don't believe in open marriages, or they can't see themselves being that. And typically it's the jealousy thing is the big thing that comes up, and that's just people not having confidence in themselves, really. But it's how many people we just went to a grad reunion on the weekend and
nice,
and brought the book and talked to a lot of people, and we estimated about 80% of them were like they change the subject, look away, ask something else, ask some silly question, and then change the subject because it just makes them feel very, very uncomfortable in their own skin. The fact that we're doing this and this is our book and this is our experience, but they're feeling somehow uncomfortable with it. We're hoping that people are going to get over that. There's a lot of messages that are in the book, and a lot of it is, crazy, erotic, highly titillating, very graphic stories. And, but then it develops into the relationship aspect of it and how you can maintain relationships and improve them and communicate and things to look out for in relationships. So, it really does have an arc that way that takes people through. But we talk about it all, there's no piece of flesh left unturned.
Yeah, we bear it all.
We bear it all.
I tried even for myself to go that direction as well. And I feel like this is why, we've connected. And first of all, I'm having so much fun right now. Woo! Waiting for more of this joint to kick in. Please, Jesus.
When do you call us later? Or we can call later. We can do like a bong party or something together.
Oh my God, yes.
Really go for fun.
Yes, we should totally do that.
I'll have a big bowl of my Astro Boy watermelon and, some really good stuff.
All right. But, yeah, I just lost my brain for a second. But I mean, like, just within the experience within it, in itself, again, just going back to going with the flow. Oh my God. If we just learn to be able to open up, go with the flow, be able to talk as people and communicate as people, there's so much that we can do for each other.
And as long as you're doing it with kindness, you're not doing anything to hurt or harm anyone else.
No malice.
Hey, it's Dave, and I quickly just wanted to jump in and say, if you've been enjoying the podcast and enjoying this episode, if you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, that'll be so greatly appreciated. Because here's the thing, someone might read that review and make the choice if they want to listen to the podcast. You get to help grow this podcast with us. How fucking cool is that? Let's jump back to today's episode.
Just as much as, whoever we're playing with, we're consenting adults, and there's nothing wrong with it as long as both parties are into it. There is no shame. There is no guilt.
No. How has the reception been for your book so far? I mean, with people reading it and of course, people telling you how to go.
They're almost all 5-star ratings, which is fantastic.
We're getting really good ratings.
I love to read the titillating stories. I think that was a big part of it. And then how vulnerable and open that I am, as a female, talking about, women's empowerment. Yeah.
Yeah, there's been people that there's no way in a million years we would have guessed that would have read past the 3rd paragraph, because once they started to get into it, and to find out that they've read it 3 times now, and they've read it together, they're analyzing it, they're looking at all the different questions and the concepts, and it's bringing up all these discussions that they're having in the relationship that wasn't there previously.
Because on the back of the book we have a whole questionnaire on what kind of play styles do you like. And of course, we decided to do this all alphabetically. So what comes up first is anal play.
Yes, no, or maybe.
Right.
And it goes all the way through from, you can think of this.
It's an excellent question. It really is an excellent question.
Well, and then when you have to do it that way, we thought we'd design it that way so that if couples are sitting there and they're talking, you can't kind of skip over one. Oh, I forgot about that one. No, it's the next one on the list, and say yes, no, or maybe. And that question or that answer from your partner doesn't necessarily need to be a verbal answer, or it can be a verbal answer, but the emotional response is a little bit different. Tells a little something different, how open their eyes are, or how sheepishly they answer. And that maybe that's written down, or that no, we encourage people 6 months after they've kind of done it to do it again, revisit it. And it's interesting to see the changes in people. We were talking about one couple that we met a few years ago, and they're brand new in the lifestyle, and they're really nervous, and they're really into soft swing. That's what they were into.
Ooh.
So
okay.
No penetrative sex with with their play partners, but some there's all sorts of different definitions of it, oral or whatever. And so that's where they were that trip. And we saw them 6 months later, and they were fully into gangbangs. So things can change.
Change your life with a little gangbang.
Yeah.
Chick flick.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all about changing perspective and ideology. I think you touched on this earlier, where people have this tendency of staying what's the word? They cling to the past.
Mm-hmm.
They hold on to things in the past, or they're not comfortable in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And now they have to open up all about that. It's gonna be one can of worms.
Oh yeah, no, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy, but it's also interesting that because we've got the book out, and we also just went traveling. We were overseas for a month, and the amount of people that we ran into that we talked to about, and we talked to everybody about the book, and it was within minutes they would start to share things about their private lives.
They were opening up because we already were open to them, which allowed them to share freely.
Because they felt comfortable with you guys. Yeah.
Exactly.
And not just their sexual appetite, but their relationships with their partners or their spouses, and the questions. And it was and some of the stories where it was quite interesting. They were spilling the beans, and they probably had never told anybody before some of these things.
Wow.
But they felt
Yeah.
comfortable that we weren't going to be judging them. I mean, once you read the book, how can we possibly judge anybody? It's like
Kind of hard.
it's not our position, and not that we've ever done that anyways, and what our perception is, or what our perspective is of somebody else is just purely our projection of them. It's not who they are, it's who we think they are. So, we understand that, and that's why we let things flow and go as they need to go. I had a particularly troubling night on Aya, and at the end of it, there was a shaman that was helping me out, and she sat beside me and she said to repeat a mantra that was, I love you, I respect your process, that process is not mine, I love you. And when she first said it, I figured, this is crazy, what has that got to do with anything? But we both use that on a regular basis now. Driving down the road, somebody cuts us off. Now it's like a breath and go, I love you. I respect your process. Your process is not mine. I love you, because you don't know what's happened to them.
You don't know what happened that morning, whether you had a fight or whether their cat died that morning. You have no idea. Yeah. And who are we to judge? So this way, if you're leaving it all open and you project kindness to them, your life is just easier. In general, we project
sluttiness and we get that back. It works quite well. So it's whatever you project.
It's true. It's the kindness that you give to others, a smile or hello. It may brighten somebody's day. You don't know. They might have had a horrible morning and you just made their day.
Or they'll think you're really creepy and you can giggle about that later too.
You're like, do you see that pervert? He said hi to me, like over there.
Yeah, again, it might not go, but you've got a story.
Question for you guys: where can these wonderful listeners find your work? Find the book, and get involved in the experience.
Well, they can find it on our website, which is evolutionarysex.org for orgasm, evolutionarysex.org. And that's got the book on there. You can order it through there. You can order it through Amazon. You can order it through Ingram Sparks. And on the webpage, there's also a couple other opportunities there for our mentorship program that we've got.
Mushroom facilitating.
And mushroom facilitating.
Ooh, I like that. Mushroom facilitating. Yeah. All right.
And we've been starting to use that now with couples. I mean, it gets into be a very It gets into be a very.
You're talking about are you talking about micro dosage?
No, full on.
No, full dosage. Yeah.
Full on dosage.
Yeah. Well, not full doses.
3 to 5.
Well, on a journey, and then we've been doing these intimacy things with using 1.5 to 2 grams, and what we find is that when you're coming out of the journey and you've got a couple, and you're creating an intimate, safe environment for them. And it doesn't even need to be sexual at that point. It's just being together, connected, and then we'll start to encourage the eye gazing and the breath work, and getting into that energy sharing part of it.
Light touching.
And the mushrooms just they help you to be so much more aware and present in the situation. And then the other thing is that, just like with any other integration, once you start to come out of it, you start to rewire your brain to this intimacy and this connection with your partner and that deeper love and that deeper understanding.
So every time you do mushrooms at, maybe a gram or so, you go into that space because it's now familiar, because you've done that before. Yeah. And you know that feeling, and you kind of go, okay, I'm just going to go back to where I was, that other night when I did it, and what was that feeling, and who was I with, and what was my communication like, and where is my energy,
my emotions in those moments. Wow, that is so fucking powerful. Well, that's what you get when you listen to Lost in the Groove. You get cool folks like this, experiences, trips, and more to learn forward. Anyway, with that, we gotta go. Listen, if you want to check out the podcast, you can find us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Lost in the Groove Pod. So, stay groovy, my friends, and we'll catch y'all on the next one. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.